Leila Hormozi is pregnant. She and Alex announced they are expecting their first baby together. And no, this is not what this video is about, but as a mompreneur myself, I needed to say this. Okay, now let's talk about her newsletter. And I'm putting newsletter in like quotation marks, because it's not really one. And that is actually the genius part, I think. And today we want to reverse engineer what Leila is doing there so we can learn from her. So we already talked about James Clear and his 3-2-1 newsletter with 3 million subscribers every Thursday with 500 words. If you missed it, you can see it on my YouTube channel. And today I want to show you the complete opposite strategy with the same result. People love it, but a totally different brain. Let's go like this behind it. So Leila Hormozi, who is she? If you have no clue who she is the CEO of acquisition.com, scaling this company to $1 billion plus, 1 billion. And there was a TikTok video. She is sitting in her car talking about her letters, and she shared something that I think is so smart. She looked at her content and she thought, I communicate all day long, mostly in writing, but only with my team. And let me show you this specific scene so you get a better understanding for this. So let me go with the desktop audio on. Yeah, cool. So you can watch it yourself and get a better feeling.
I know you're starting a newsletter, and like I want to know why you're even doing that.
I was thinking about where my content is lacking, and I feel like it's not a lot of written word. I think I communicate a lot of written word in my company. So then I thought, well, I would love to communicate externally more written word. And then I was like, well, how could I communicate externally in a way that doesn't add more to my plate? Which then brought us this concept of leaking my internal messages to the external world, which felt like really aligned with my values of wanting to make education accessible. It's like, what's more accessible than just like sharing what I share with my team with everybody else?
I know you're starting a newsletter, and
yeah, this was the cool part, really, that she was instead of asking what we might be expecting, how can I create more content, which is the question many ask, right? She asked a much better question because she said, how can I share more without adding more to my plate? Oh my God, this is the best, especially for moms and part-time writers. Write this down. It's very important. This is the whole video in one sentence, honestly, because her answer is she started leaking her internal messages, as we heard, the exact memos she already sent her team while scaling acquisition.com. So no new writing habit, no extra content calendar, no forcing herself to be inspiring on a schedule. Just a new container. And she calls it no BS. Let me share my screen. No BS leadership lessons. This is her website, leilahormozi.com, and you can see it. Get the unfiltered memos I sent my team as we scale acquisition.com to 1 billion. Then you can here insert your email. I'm already on her list. And what you can do then, you can go on letters, and there you can see all her letters, everything she has so far written. And you get access, these internal memos, hiring and onboarding decisions, how they build a new advisory practice, a full breakdown of the book launch that broke a world record, free, unfiltered, real. Let me maybe click on the latest one, Greatness Isn't Conditional, this one here, because I think that her newsletter feels so different, not like really like a newsletter, like something private, like you're reading something you weren't supposed to see, like something, oh my God, maybe, I don't know, I was on the list without actually being supposed to be on the list, you know what I mean? Which brings us to a word people love to use and rarely explain, well, positioning, So as a marketing and brand manager myself, the simplest way I know to explain this is, let me zoom out here, is positioning is what people think they are getting, not what you write, okay? Think they are getting. One more time, positioning is what people think they are getting, not what you write. So a newsletter feels like, here are my thoughts, hope you like them. Internal memos feel more like you're inside the room where the real decisions happen. So let us go into this. Here, for instance, with Greatness Isn't Conditional. Over the past 2 weeks, we've walked through unimpeachable character and sincere candor. Today we're closing the series with the third and final core value, competitive greatness. Be at your best when your best is needed and the enjoyment of a hard challenge. Why this one last? I saved this one for last on purpose, and so on and so on. Or as I like to say, weapon, Also, I want to be super clear about what makes this value easy to fake from the surface. Most people think they have it, and honestly, when things are going well, they probably do, but competitive greatness that only shows up on good days is absolutely not true competitive greatness, and so on, so on, so on. And then what it doesn't look like, what it looks like day to day. You're behind, a project hits a wall, things are going well, things are hard, you finish something, a hard challenge lands on your plate. Your first instinct is, let's go, why me, not why me? Or before you close the tab, you ask, is this actually my best? What would blow their minds? Something like this. So I think these are amazing tips to learn from Leila, and especially if you want to scale your writing business and you want to become also like an entrepreneur and build your own business. I think this is really the best there. And this is why it always feels like, oh my God, what is she sharing there? So you're like inside the room where the real decisions happen. And in my opinion, that shift changes really everything, because your reader's brain decides in 3 seconds, is this for me? Is this new? Is this worth my time or not? And so good positioning in her case makes that answer easy. Bad positioning means you work twice as hard to explain yourself, So underneath the positioning, there is the value. There's the value proposition. That's the promise. So it answers one question. Why should I care? And Leila's promise is so clear. You're getting real leadership lessons from inside a company scaling to $1 billion. What's actually happening, not theory. That is why it feels special. So what can we actually learn from Leila? So 4 things, I think, I would say, let's go through them. So number 1 is she picked a powerful container. It is not weekly newsletter. It is unfiltered memos. Let's go back to her page that we can see it. So it is not a newsletter she's talking about. She also called it on TikTok letters. So it's just letters from Leila, and it's called unfiltered memos. So it feels private and rare. And number 2 is she made the value obvious. So leadership lessons from inside a real company as it grows, like the real stuff. Number 3, and this one is huge, she made it easy to repeat. She already writes 3 memos, so she can ship consistently without forcing inspiration. This means, for instance, you are in the corporate world, 9 to 5, the drill, and then you think, or you have your own business already, and then you're thinking, oh my God, maybe I can repurpose something from this, or I'm learning something and then I can repurpose this. And this is the exact idea where you're going to say, oh, I have no clue, for instance, about product management or so, and you're going to take something from the real corporate world and then putting this in your newsletter, of course, without you know what, there are all these contracts and you're not allowed, of course, to share like all the sensitive data and stuff, but you can share at least something, and you can also make this like an anonymous client or so. And this is important for entrepreneurs, business owners, and part-time writers, side hustlers, everyone with an actual job, because the best newsletter is the one you can keep sending over and over again. And I see so many people quit after week 10 or week 20 or so, and don't be that person. And number 4 for me is positioning, is context setting. So think of it like the opening scene of a movie. In a few minutes, you know where you are, what is happening, how you should feel. And your newsletter needs the same. It should quietly answer, who is this for? What is this really about? Why does this matter to me? And Leila's positioning answers all of that before you read a single word. So here's a simple positioning checklist for you. You can easily steal, okay? So 4 questions. Number 1 is, what do you call this? Newsletter is fine, but a sharper name helps people get it faster. Remember like the 3, 2, 1. Remember no BS leadership lessons, okay? Keep this in mind. For instance, of course, I have my newsletter on Substack, but I call it community. It's the online writing club, Then number 2 is, who is it really for? Be specific. The more specific, the easier the yes. And you can also, for instance, say, this is for this and that person, but it's not for this and that person. There are also some midlife writers inside the Online Writing Club who are saying this is just for female writers or readers. This is not for male readers. And number 3, what do they get every time? One insight, one example, one takeaway, one interview, whatever. But make it consistent. And of course, you can also go with, for instance, I have interviews, I have podcasts. I, for instance, bring something like Leila Hormozi, like reverse engineer stuff. We're talking about how to become a better writer. I share tutorials. So I have like interviews, tutorials, insights, multiple like content pillars, text, video, lives, what else? Podcasts, And then the other question would be, or the most important, again, talk about more about this. Like, it's really about this consistency, Ask yourself, how can I be consistent? This is the most important thing. What can I write about for not just 1 week or 2 or 3, but on a consistent basis? And I also see so many now venture capitalists on Substack who are sharing, for instance, why they invest and what makes a venture, or what makes it worthwhile or not, as an example. So the more specific, the easier is the yes. And the question is, again, to come back to this, what is the thing that I'm getting out of this newsletter? Is it an interview? What is it? Again, you can mix it. Number 4 is, why should they believe you? So your experience, your results, your failures, everything is very important. And by the way, inside the Online Writing Club, my newsletter with 18,000 subscribers, we talk about exactly this every single week in our live classes. We also talk about, for instance, Leila Hormozi, James Clear, positioning, monetizing your words. And this is very important, I think, to, as online writers, also think about building your business. So business growth through Substack, through your newsletter, and really like celebrating this. And this is why I'm, of course, inviting you to the Online Writing Club. I can maybe show this here, onlinewritingclub.com, so you can see it. This is my Online Writing Club. And here inside the Online Writing Club, we're talking about everything like newsletter, becoming a better writer, getting published in the New York Times and stuff. Then, for instance, also if you want to become a freelancer, how much can you charge? Where, for instance, Huffington Post or so is a specific offer. CNN is also often searching for interview partners. And then we have the Substack for Beginners class. This is included in the annual. So if you want to learn specifically about Substack, then this is the place. And as you can see, I have to go because in about 30 minutes, I have my live session. So we have weekly live sessions where you can ask me all your questions and bring your questions, and I'm going to answer all of them. So wish you a wonderful day. Ich wünsche dir einen tollen Tag, mein lieber Freund. If you are from Germany, or wenn du aus Deutschland kommst oder aus Amerika oder sonst wo von der Welt. Und so sage ich, mein lieber Freund, tschüss.